What I find really interesting about this poem is that every single description was based on a true thing I encountered, except for one. One of them's not like totally real. All right, I'll just read it. It's called Redneck. Okay, when I was very young, I heard my dad say his boss was a redneck. First of all, my dad was here a second ago, but I'm kind of happy he left because he doesn't know I wrote this. And yeah, okay. Start over. Redneck. When I was very young, I heard my dad say his boss was a redneck. One day, he decided to take me to work. He introduced me to his boss, but I was surprised to see that his neck wasn't red. I was about to say, but Dad, his neck's not red. But for some reason, I didn't. Why is someone called a redneck? I have thought about this a lot. I once heard somebody say, nobody is born a redneck. You become a redneck based on your environment. The more time you spend in this place, the more you become a redneck. That made sense to me. I had a cousin whose neck was white as snow. We took a trip to Sarasota, and we loved the beach. But after a while, her neck got burnt and red. So I guess she becomes a redneck in the summertime, when she's sipping pina coladas in Florida. Then I learned that rednecks enjoy country music. They like watching country music videos and listening to the radio playing Garth Brooks, Tim McGraw, and the Dixie Chicks. Well, until those girls decided to become traitors, as the radio host told us. The thing is, every time I would go to my grandparents' house, my grandpa would always have CMT, country music television on. Well, that is when he wasn't watching MTV Spring Break in Cancun. But every time we're driving, he's always got 95.3, country's hottest, on. He asked me a few questions, like what does it mean when she sings, "Let It Go"? After I try to answer in the best Farsi I can muster, he smiles and returns his attention to driving. But as the country star's voice continues, his right hand begins to tap the steering wheel, like a Persian musician, rhythmically tapping the tambourine. Now my Baba Buzurg's got a pretty ruddy complexion, so including his ruby red neck and my cousin's seasonally burnt one, I guess that makes 2 rednecks in my family. But then someone else said, rednecks don't like black people. That's funny, because I read this book about this redneck, and the author claimed this man wasn't a redneck. He said he was a Cherokee, but I don't buy that, because anyone can plainly see his neck was red. But I didn't understand, because he would always hang out with his black friend. Another person then corrected this. No, you are not a redneck because of your neck's color. You are a redneck based on your interests and likes. You see, he said, NASCAR dads, for instance, are rednecks because they spend hours watching cars, racing around a track. Well, I was pretty sure then that I knew a student who was a redneck, because she told me at one time, before she decided to become a pre-med, she dreamed of becoming a Formula One racer. She still watches races with a passion, but I never saw the color of her Bangladeshi neck because it was always covered by her hijab. Finally, someone taught me some sense. A redneck is not determined by what you like. Rather, it's based on who you don't like. Take Texans, for example. They only love family and white Anglo-Saxons. But if you're a foreigner, they won't really love you. That definition seemed to work for a while, until I met this girl. It was the first relationship in which I actually think I began to understand what love is. But apparently, she couldn't really love me, because she was from San Antonio. So I thought, until at last I decided to ask a very wise man. I asked, is this the right way to think of rednecks? Rednecks don't always have rednecks. People call them racists. not because they don't like black people, but because they like watching races. They like listening to country music, but if you see they've got, if you see they've got, okay, I just scribbled this in, but if you see they've got a beat to an Iranian beat to their rhythm, they don't really count as a redneck. They may seem to love you, but really, if you're a foreigner, they're just pretending. No, 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 this wise man said. A redneck is not really any of those things. A redneck is someone who does not understand. He is ignorant and doesn't see what makes a person who they truly are because he judges them with pre-existing labels, labels that have been ingrained in his mind by society. Oh, now I get it, I replied. So rednecks are basically all those people who told me what a redneck is.
Wow, so I definitely don't have an awesome poem like that, but I can tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Ariana Hussain-Khani, and I'm a first year at UC Davis as a genetics major, and I'm studying for pre-med, hopefully trying to get into UCSF, but I'm working on it. And as they introduced me before, I decided to go and become a doctor since the 3rd grade because a very close one in my family was diagnosed with cancer. And while everyone else was dreaming of becoming superheroes and cartoon characters when they grow up, I took reality in and realized becoming a doctor is the thing for me. And ever since then, every course I ever took, every research paper I ever did was solely based on cancer and how to become a doctor in the near future. Therefore, I'd like to thank you so much for this scholarship because it's taken me one step closer to becoming a doctor.
Hi everyone, I'm Wooduz, and I'm a sophomore at UC Berkeley. My family and I moved to the United States 5 years ago from Iran, so we have been here trying to learn about the educational system in the United States. So when I first came to the United States, there wasn't enough information for me as an English as a second language student. So I started a club at my school to teach ESL students what they're supposed to do. We took SAT practice exams and stuff. So I'm trying to improve that, and even in Berkeley started a program same as that. And I'd like to become a dentist because I've started to work with an orthodontics at Sam Tao, and there I've learned so much about dentistry. So thank you so much for your help, and thanks for the scholarship.
Hard work, you can see where it's going to our beautiful young generation and to fulfill their dreams. We have a resolution of commendation from the Supervisor Pete McHugh Board of Supervisors dated October 28, 2006. It's wonderful that we can actually see that the community, also the governing body, acknowledges such wonderful efforts that you all have put together. It is great to see businesses such as The Gallery, Wise Wishes, Cucini, Commercial Bay. Thank you all for coming, for supporting these students, for making their dreams come true. And to the Board of the Scholarship, who has so effortlessly put all their work and energy into this. To Lisa Tallner, she is wonderful, isn't she? She has graciously given her time. I should also let everyone know she's the CEO of Centaura, one of the most successful PR and marketing companies in San Jose area. So we're truly blessed to have you here. Thank you. Now, as to the resolution of commendation, does anyone want to know what is written on? Anybody wants to know? Yeah? Okay. All right. Let's see what the supervisor has to say. He says, whereas the Art and Culture Scholarship Fundraising Gala is annually organized by the Iranian Federated Women's Club that since 1996 has offered educational services, scholarships,